we still faithful. I'ma put it all on the table. We forever faithful. Yeah, we still faithful.
What's going on, 49er faithful? This is JD. Thank you for tuning in to Keeping the Faith. I wanted to make a real quick video because on Wednesday, May 14th, we have a very crucial day on the NFL offseason calendar as the National Football League will be officially releasing their 2025 NFL schedule. So 49er fans will know when, where, how, where the Niners will play all of their games against who, prime time, Sunday, Saturday, whatever day. The schedule will be released Wednesday, May 14th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, and season ticket holders like myself can make their plans for the rest of the year because the NFL dictates the rest of our lives for half of every single year. So with that, I wanted to give my thoughts today on some predictions that I have about the 49ers schedule. Now it's virtually impossible to really predict this thing, really dial it down and say, okay, they're going to play this team week 1 at this time, or this team week 5 at this time, this primetime game. It's really impossible to do that kind of wizardry. But I have a few predictions and a few schools of thought that I wanted to share with the faithful before we get the official release of the 49ers schedule on Wednesday. But first, look, we know the opponents. The opponents have been out there since the end of the 2024 season. I'll put them up here on the screen and we can go through them quickly together. The Niners 2025 home opponents will include of course, NFC West division rivals, the Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams, Arizona Cardinals, and then you have the remainder of the home opponents being the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans, and Chicago Bears. Not exactly a murderer's row of home opponents. And then you move on to the 49ers away games, their road opponents in 2025. And the 49ers will face, of course, their division rivals, the Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals. And then you have the New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, New York Giants, and Cleveland Browns. Look, we all know that the 49ers have a very easy schedule, at least on paper, going into 2025. As a matter of fact, some of you may already know the 49ers have the weakest strength of schedule going into the 2025 season based on 2024 record. Going into this year, I'll put the graphic up on the screen. You guys can take a look at all the formalities there with the strength of schedule. But look, the Niners have a very easy schedule in theory, on paper, however you want to look at it. It's a very favorable slate of games for the 49ers, and now all we have to do is wait and see how things shake out, how many East Coast trips the team's going to make in a row, or how many 10 a.m. games, how many primetime games, different things, all that stuff, the rest differential between teams that they play, all that stuff will come into play once the schedule is officially released. But I wanted to give some predictions on what I think for a few different scenarios when it comes to the 49ers schedule. And the first thing everyone wants to talk about is the primetime games. Now in the NFL, you can get a max of 6 primetime games. And this year, look, in years past, the Niners have gotten 5 primetime games, and you haven't even had to sweat it. You knew that was coming. But based on the 2024 season that the 49ers had, where, let's face it, they had a very down year. They did not meet expectations. Guys were hurt. And now you fast forward into 2025, you have all this roster turnover, and not to mention a very lackluster schedule, like I mentioned. I don't think the 49ers are going to have the maximum allotment of primetime games. You can get 6. A lot of teams get 5. This year in 2024, just based on those reasons that I mentioned, I think the 49ers end up with 4 primetime games. That's just my guess. I'm not thinking they get more than that. Maybe late in the year they get flexed into one, depending on how things shape up. But I think just based on the fact they're coming off a down year and they have a schedule that doesn't feature a ton of key opponents, sexy television opponents, I think the Niners are going to get stuck with 4 primetime games. And I know some Niner fans, may be disappointed in that. But I'm not opposed to the 49ers kind of sneaking up on some people with this schedule this year. Let them play their week schedule. Let them do, handle their business and not have a lot of fanfare and a lot of attention around them. I'm good with it. The Niners have had all the primetime games that we can handle the last several years. Let them kind of fly under the radar a little bit. Let's not have the rest of the country see what the Niners got cooking out here. You know what I mean? So here's what I'm thinking when it comes to the 49ers primetime games in 2024. Like I mentioned, I think they have four. That'll be two home, two away. I can't predict every one of them, but here's what I'm thinking with the 49ers primetime games. The first one I can kind of narrow down. In 2025, the NFL will be introducing their rivalry jerseys, and the NFC West and the 49ers included will be wearing these new jerseys that will be featured in rivalry games. And over the last several years, you've seen the 49ers and Seahawks play up in Seattle on Thursday nights in prime time, and I think you're going to see the 49ers and Seahawks play on potentially another Thursday night, but this time I think it'll be down at Levi's, and the NFL rivalry jerseys will be worn during home games. And I think that's when you will see the 49ers debut their rivalry jersey, and I think it'll be against the Seattle Seahawks on a Thursday night. That's just my guess. The Niners have played up in Seattle on Thursdays, I think, the last 2 years in a row, and I think they're gonna, potentially run it back for a third year, maybe. And when they do, I think they'll be wearing their rivalry jerseys. Just a guess. I don't have any. I don't have any inside source. I don't have any information to back it up. Just a gut feeling. I think the Niners will debut those rivalry jerseys against potentially their biggest division rival in the Seattle Seahawks, and it'll be a home game, and it'll be on prime time. Maybe it's not Thursday, but I think it'll be a prime time game because the NFL certainly is going to want to get all the eyes that they can on these rivalry jerseys. They want that initiative to really take off and become a thing, and obviously sell tons of merchandise. So I think you're going to see a lot of these rivalry games in prime time because the NFL wants that to succeed. And I think the 49ers primetime, or the 49ers rivalry game will feature, a primetime game against potentially the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe it's the Rams, but my gut feeling, I think it'll be Seattle. Um, they're going to have a second primetime game in the division, I believe. And out of the remaining opponents, the Rams and the Cardinals, I would think that you'll see the 49ers and the Rams on prime time, and I think that'll probably be a road game down in LA. The Rams will be a very popular prime time team this year. They made it far in the postseason a year ago. They added Devontae Adams, so that's going to be a popular team for the NFL to put out there. And I think the Niners and Rams could be a very popular matchup, down in LA for a prime time game. I think that is a very possible game to take place there. With the remainder of the 49ers opponents, it's kind of hard to guess who else they could play in prime time. But I have one that sticks out to me, and it probably sticks out to you if you're a 49ers fan, and that is the Houston Texans. And that one would be on the road because we're playing the Texans in Houston. And I think the Niners and Texans could very well be like a Sunday night game sort of thing. And you'll get to see Kyle Shanahan against D'Amico Ryans. You'll see, that whole dynamic at play. Aziz Al-Shaair playing against his former team. There's tons of storylines there between the 49ers and the Texans. And I could see that very well being like a Sunday night game sort of thing. That's just one of the other things that sticks out to me regarding the 49ers schedule and primetime games and whatnot. So Niner fans, let me know down below. Make sure you drop a comment. Who do you think their primetime games will be against? How many primetime games do you think that they will have? I'm curious to see the thoughts of the faithful down below in the comments. Again, I think they get four, and I gave my reasoning on who I think they play in primetime games. So let me know what you guys think about my thoughts on the potential primetime slate for the 49ers in 2025. Now, the next thing that the Niners fans are going to want to look at with the schedule, of course, is when is the 49ers bye week. Last few years, the Niners have been spoiled with very, very favorable mid-season sort of buys, week 8, week 9. I don't think the NFL is going to be as kind to the 49ers in 2025. They've been very kind to them the last few years with those mid-season buys. This year, given the fact that the 49ers have the most favorable schedule on paper in the NFL, I think the Niners are probably destined to get an early season bye, like a week 5 sort of bye, because the NFL is going to tell the Niners, hey, look, You have a very easy schedule. We can't give you a midseason bye or a late season bye. We can't let you have your cake and eat it too. You guys should be able to handle business even with an early season bye. That's just my guess. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So don't be shocked if you see the 49ers have an earlier than we've seen as of late bye week. I'm thinking, week 4, week 5, week 6, something like that. We're going to groan. We're not going to be happy about it. But at the end of the day, the Niners do have a favorable schedule and should be able to handle business despite an early bye week. Now, hopefully, you don't want to see injuries pile up late in the year and things like that when they could very well use a bye week. But that's just what I'm thinking. I think the Niners have had some very good luck with their bye week as of late, and I think that luck runs out this year, and they'll get something earlier in the season than we would prefer. And then the last thing that Niners fans have paid attention to as of late, and it's been discussed in the media, discussed by other 49er YouTubers and content creators, whatever you want to call it, is the rest differential, the combined days of rest that the 49ers have as opposed to their opponents when they play them. Last year, the 49ers, just for reference, played 4 teams coming off of their bye, and there was no other team in the NFL that had more than 2 such games on their schedule in 2024. And this is not a new thing for the 49ers with their schedule. Their rest differential has been kind of horrendous the last couple of years, even so much so that the 49ers have complained to the league office about the number of rest days that they get versus the rest days of their opponents heading into each of their matchups. And so I'll put the graphic up on the screen so you guys can take a look. But I think this year you'll see a dramatically improved rest differential for the 49ers. That's going to help the Niners a ton. With rest going into games, playing teams off of bye weeks and whatnot. I think the Niners will definitely have an improved rest differential heading into this year, and you combine that with a presumably easier slate of games, and I think that could all bode well for the 49ers and their 2025 hopes. Let me know what you guys think, man. What do you guys think about this whole rest differential debate? It's been definitely something discussed quite a bit, at least on social media, different content creators. I know David Lombardi has mentioned the rest differential thing quite a bit. Hopefully the Niners can get a little bit of luck on their side this time around when it comes to that. But they do have a lot of opponents. Let me pull up the schedule here one more time. They do have a lot of opponents that could potentially be 10 a.m. games, and that's the final point I want to make, because we all know West Coast teams flying to the East Coast, the 10 a.m. games historically it's not been very kind to the West Coast teams playing those 10 a.m. games on the East Coast. And just looking at the Niners schedule here for those away games, you have the Saints could potentially be a 10 a.m. game, potentially Tampa Bay. Houston could be if it's not a primetime game. The Colts, of course, could be a 10 a.m. game. Same thing with the Giants. Same thing with the Browns. I mean, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have potentially 6 10 a.m. games that could be on the 49ers schedule. I don't think they'll get 6 10 a.m. games, but if they had 4, I wouldn't be shocked. If they had 5, I wouldn't. I don't think they'll get 5, but 3, 4, somewhere in there. And that could definitely play a factor in rest differential and how the 49ers ultimately, perform in 2025. Those 10 a.m. games are terrible on the body clocks, and I know a lot of Niners fans don't like them. And so I'm definitely curious to see how many 10 a.m. games the 49ers have this year, given the fact that 6 of their opponents could potentially, be played in that 10 a.m. time slot. So with that, Niner fans, those are just the predictions that I have, and I wanted to share with you. Let me know all your thoughts down below. What do you think is going to happen with the 49ers schedule here? We'll find out soon enough. Again, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, the NFL will be releasing their 2025 schedule. Me as a season ticket holder, I'm absolutely jacked. It's one of my favorite days of the off season, because once we get the schedule released, it feels like we're kind of getting around the corner. And then, not too far from now, you'll see mandatory minicamp, and then training camp is right around the corner, and then we're off and running for the 2025 season. So we're almost there, faithful. The schedule's coming. I'm pumped. Let me know if you're hyped, and I can't wait, man. I'll be back soon to talk more Niners. Until then, let's go, Niners.